social media? Are you on social media yourself?
Yes. So usually I use social media for my work because those are the only platforms that we can access our clients.
Yeah.
So I work as a human rights activist, so I can be able to access to information and people's stories and stuff. So
Do you find it effective
fortunately,
for that?
that's a positive impact
Yeah.
of using social medias. People just themselves using social medias in negative and disadvantage way, but I think social media itself is good
Yes.
and it's okay itself,
Yeah.
but it's just people misuse it. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you think people are truly themselves online, or are they?
Well, it depends of how people expose themselves.
Yeah. You're happy to be yourself online?
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a right platform for myself and the others using as for our advocacy works.
Great.
But it's good.
It's good.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time to speak to us.
Yeah.
Brooke, it's great to be outside, off the screen for a short time.
Yeah.
But if you're watching this, chances are you're probably on social media of some sort, and the question is it doing us more harm than good? Brooke, are you on social media?
Yes and no.
And no.
Yeah, it's something that I try to avoid as much as possible, because once I start, I kind of get sucked down the rabbit hole and I don't realise how much time I'm losing until a little too late. So yes, I try to stay off as much as possible. I actually probably only have access to the ones that actually give me tools to communicate with people too. So generally not like your Twitters or your Instagram or any of that sort of stuff, because I just can't fit it in.
It's one of those things, isn't it? And we do have a podcast that we've just started called On the Spot, and we discussed that in our first episode, going into social media, good or bad. Quite an interesting discussion. But today we're really looking at one of the well-documented negative effects, and that is the way we present ourselves on social media is not really always accurate, or doesn't show the full version of us, which can lead to a lot of negative side effects. So we're going to have a look at somebody talking about how they feel about that now.
What are your thoughts on social media and why?
Well, social media is really bad. There's a lot of people are so cruel in social media, like they comment and they bully. There's a lot of bully around in social media through not physical bully, but like verbal bully through these social media. So I reckon this is a lot of people will become suicide because of social media. I think that's my answer. Yeah.
But today we're focusing on one of the well-documented negative effects of social media, and that is the tendency for us to present a certain view of ourselves out there that might not always be the accurate or full version of who we are.
Yeah, and it's a little bit like we don't even realise that we're doing it, but we can present something that's a little bit more polished and not quite as real as, and then sometimes people present what they say is real, but even that is kind of with a bit of a funny edge to it. I don't know. It's a very tricky, difficult space to be in.
And maybe you think, well, what's the big deal? That doesn't matter. Well, I think we're going to have a look at that. Does it matter if we are presenting a version of ourselves that isn't truly authentic? And is that something that we should be concerned about? I think it's only natural that when we know we're being watched or about to be watched, that we try and present the best version of ourselves. But what does that really tell us about ourselves when we're doing that? Brooke, do you have an example of of why that might not be such a good thing for us?
Yeah, so I remember a few years ago I had shared a funny moment with my kids, and it was hilarious, and I was trying to actually plug it into Facebook so that everybody could enjoy it, and then I realized I was spending so much time trying to fit it into a little quip or a little whatever that I was actually totally disconnected with the people in my life who'd actually made that beautiful moment happen. And I kind of had that, and it happened a couple of times where I kind of went, hang on a second. And so I just deleted what I was trying to post completely and just then engaged with them. And and so I think I just kind of changed my approach there, because I realized, hang on, there's something about me that tries to perfect it too much.
Yeah, and something about just the way we interact in person is different.
Yeah.
When we're not so aware of ourselves. And I think that's a key, that when we're on social media, we're very aware of ourselves and how people are viewing us.
Yeah.
That we might not have as much when we are connecting one-on-one or in a in-person situation.
Especially because it's the people who are right with us. These are the people that we are actually interacting with in a very real way. Yeah, somebody might see what I post on Facebook, but maybe I don't interact with them nearly as much as I do with my own children or my family or my extended family, or do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It just, for me, I kind of had this kind of check in my heart, which was, hang on, these are the people that are right here with me. Enjoy them right now. Don't be so concerned about the other.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not that they don't matter, but who comes first in those moments was...
Yes, who comes first, and who we actually are when we're living with ourselves it's got to be more important than who we are presenting ourselves to be to others. And hopefully, I guess everyone would want who we really are to just come out and be natural in front of people. We wouldn't really care, but we know that's not the case. So how can we get that right? How can we really be ourselves, come to grips with who we are, flaws and all, be okay with that, and not try and filter out everything that really is there? What do you think stops people from being real?
Fear of judgment, fear of people knowing all your deep dark secrets.
What do you think helps people feel safe enough to be themselves?
Maybe if you hear them share something from their own life, some sort of honesty from them, makes you feel safe enough to share a similar level of honesty.
And does having a camera in front of you make you feel like you're safe to be yourself?
Not at all. I'm thinking about how I'm coming across on the camera and what my words might say.
So, have you ever found yourself or felt like you're being inauthentic?
Probably not in that I've presented a version of myself that isn't real, but more maybe holding back part of myself in certain situations, not really expressing everything I believe or everything I think, just because I'm worried about what people will say. I guess that's probably fairly common.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I can remember back to a space where I actually think the people I was with, I was kind of filtering out, certain parts of my faith, not actually bringing that into the space, when actually that would have been a really good place for those people to sort of see that part of me a little bit more. So, yeah.
If other people's opinions are holding us back, I guess that is a negative thing.
Yeah.
Any clues on how we can overcome this problem of not presenting ourselves as we are, or even the repercussions of that, where we see other people in this amazing light and we feel inferior?
Yeah, well, I think you just said something really good there. Inferior. When we look at others and we make the standard of what we think is good or successful or any of those sorts of things, when we make that about what we see from other people, then I think we can really start to do that comparison thing again, and then we end up a bit tied up in knots, and we will then try to hide certain things that we think are not going to get us to the places that we think we want to go to.
So what we're saying probably is not new to anyone, but it is interesting. What does it say about us if we are so prone to being okay with being people we're not? I mean, why is it so easy to hide, and why is it difficult for us to come to terms with who we are?
Yeah, I guess it sort of says something about what we're looking to give us our sense of value, perhaps. And when we do look at others to value us, we are vulnerable. We are vulnerable to the highs and lows of cultural opinion, to what people think is good right now. And unfortunately, it's a bit of a poor substitute for what we as Christians have come to put our hope in, which is a loving God who says, I know you, I care for you, I will give you your value, and that changes how we can actually then go out into our interactions and how we actually view even ourselves in our quiet moments when nobody else is looking, because sometimes we can be meanest to ourselves, and that's, you know, we need to remember that actually God made me and loves me, and if he loves me, why would I treat myself quite so harshly even? And sometimes that can be a problem too, can't it?
Yeah, and it can be a cultural thing too. I think so often we're afraid to put ourselves out there because we're afraid that people are going to jump on it. You know, anything wrong, you know, it's plastered everywhere, and we feel like, wow, I'm not safe. Which is something that I think we need to do better at creating safe places where we can have real discussions, be ourselves, and not feel like we're just going to be jumped on with any mistake that we make.
Yeah, and that's definitely your goal, isn't it, to make Haven that safe place? So that's a good thing.
So I'd like to get to know you. Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. is when we have discussions. Thursday night as well at the same time. So it would be great, or even if you're not ready for that level yet, send us a message and we can interact that way as well.